This one's entitled The Tennis Tournament Strategy. Our daughter had become a very good tennis player. She'd gotten good enough that she was seeded in a tournament. We went to Waco, and so during the tournament, it was kind of the beginning of when she started having lots of fainting and headaches, problems, and we don't really know. We do not think it was part of her heart problem. She had to have open heart surgery at 8 years old for an abnormal origination of the right coronary artery. But I don't think that was it. But it just she was having troubles with anytime she did exertion, she was getting a headache to the point of dizziness, and she would almost faint. So this was we were aware of it, but it was just beginning. It was just something that just started. So we were in a tournament, and she won her first and her second, and she was about to go on to I think in the bracket she's going to end up meeting her we'll call a rival, and the parents and the rival came to watch her previous match. So if she would win, she would face her rival. And so, they were sitting near us while we were watching this previous match, and our daughter was getting overheated and getting headache and feeling dizzy and everything, and was having to take a lot of extra time and take a break. And I was really concerned for my daughter, and the parents of the other, some of it they were saying really out loud that we could hear, and they weren't being, they weren't really being disrespectful to us in those conversations. It was the kind of whisper that we could still hear, that we heard. She's really having a hard time. She's really having a hard time with the heat. And so our daughter won. So it sets up the match for tomorrow. And so we were in the hotel room discussing, the overheating situation, and we ended up going and getting the special towels that you wet, and it turns really cold, and you can put it around your neck. And we got her a new chest so she could put ice and water in, keeping her water. And our strategy was for her to take her time and not go fast pace, but to kind of do a slowdown, because the heat, we said the heat is your enemy, not the opponent. If you get overheated, if you get too fatigued, then you have to withdraw. You end up fainting, or something happens. Then it's the opponent is the heat. So we had that as a strategy, and I told my wife and my daughter the night before. I said, they're over there discussing the same thing in their hotel. They're saying, hey, you keep her going fast. Don't wait on her. Make a lot of pressure for her to get back up, and because there's rules in tennis. You can't take too long in between games and stuff. And you have a little bit of time, but I've forgotten how long it is now. But there's nobody sitting there with a timer, but there's etiquette and things like that. So our strategy was you're going to go through a regiment each time you get a chance to go sit down. You're going to take this really, really cold towel that we bought, the cool towel, cool zone towel or something like that. You're going to put that around your neck, and you're going to take, she had plenty of water. So you're going to take some water and you're going to pour some over your head, and then you're going to drink, and you're going to do your towel again and put it around your neck again, and you're cooling down. You're going to take your full amount of time before you get up and you go over and you play for the next match. So the tournament started, and they started playing, and it was one of those where the opponent won one game, our daughter won one game, and it was going back and forth, which kind of plays into their hands, because if we're going to have to play a long time, that's also against us. Also, my daughter was to seek out any shade that might be on the court, and in between every time the ball goes out of bounds or something, somebody's got to go get it, and if you have a chance, you step over into that shade. We want you to be as cool as possible. And so, you know, as it turned out, there was a couple of places where there's some trees hanging over a little bit, and there was a little bit of shade, actually I think on both ends. So anytime the opponent was going to pick up a ball, our daughter would step over and stand in the shade for a second and then get back out there. So our daughter actually won the first set. So they're going in the second set, and so what happened? Every time they finished a game, the opponent probably instructed. So you're not supposed to coach your kids once it started. There's no coaching allowed. You can't speak out and say, "Hey, you got to make sure you do this." You should have already did all that coaching before you started, and so we were all abiding by the rules. We coached our daughter beforehand. They coached their daughter beforehand. So apparently they coached her, kind of like what I said. She stood out there in between every game, standing out there as if ready to go. She barely ever got a sip of water. She stood out there in the sun waiting on our... So the idea was the pressure that your opponent's already ready. So you should feel obliged to go ahead and go on out there and play. But we had coached her to take her full time, which is within the rules, and they had coached their daughter to stand out in the sun to make our daughter feel pressured to get right back out there, which she was coached not to do. So our daughter won the first set, but by the time the second set came around, our daughter was still fresh, and the poor girl, with her parents, had already coached her not to do that, and you know, they weren't, to their credit, they didn't call out to their daughter and say, "Hey, stop that strategy, you need to get some shade. Go sit down, get some water." Our daughter won straight games on the second. So, and you know, she ended up winning the tournament. And so that was a big tennis tournament strategy that really paid off, and we were real proud of our daughter. So that's it. Thank you.